Hi world, this is Kelly and Bonnie again, just to remind you that you're God, and we're going to start another discussion about, I think we're going to talk about love and fear. I think that seems to be a common thing I get a lot of questions about, so let's talk about love and fear.
Yeah, great. Right. Well, the world is ruled by two extremes, which are love and fear. I mean, it's really a battle between the two. If you like, you can look at it as Jedi's versus Darth Vader. It's the same kind of principles. You know, it's good and bad, it's light and dark, it's love and fear. Where love is expansive and fear is really limiting. So let's take a closer look at that.
Okay, alright, so you know, to me, like, we can just put our heads out the window for that. You know, yeah. The world's based on, the world as it stands, and where it's come from is that it's based on fear. Like, we've been manipulated through what we talked about with the reptilian agenda. You really got to get over that being a problem with me communicating about it. The reptilian agenda has dominated a world and forced us into a situation where we are constantly in a state of fear. And this, I'm not talking just like the big shit, like the stuff like if you're in Iraq right now and you're getting bombed to smithereens all the time, or you're worried, or you're in Ireland and you're worried that the sniper's going to come and get you. Like, not that sort of fear. We're talking on a Western scale. Yeah, like the fear of not having enough money to pay your rent, the fear of not finding your perfect love affair, the fear of like having
any kind of fear, because any doubt, any negative emotion is really, really related to fear.
Yeah.
Because it's a preventative thing. It's a limiting thing. You feel caged, you feel like your world is closing. And in simple things, as Kelly was saying, it doesn't have to be extreme, it doesn't have to be some phobic thing. It can be like, I can't pay my rent. You know, I'm scared of going out tonight because
the fear of failing your exams at uni, the fear of not looking cool enough, the fear of your body not being a certain way, the fear of not knowing how
judgment, perception,
the fear of your partner cheating on you, jealousy. You know, right down to getting on an airplane having a fear that it's going to fall out of the sky, to the fear of like natural disasters, to the fear of you know, worldwide disasters, wars, you name it. Like, you know, 2012 is bringing up a lot of fear for those who even know it exists.
The thing is, fear is really pointless because you can change anything in your life. It's absolutely your perception of it and your ability to.
So where did fear come from?
Well, I mean, it's been generated as a structure of control, really.
So, I mean, like,
it's an emotion, but it's controlling.
The foundations of fear, like where fear actually originated from, was from limitation. Fear can only exist when you're not connected to the source. So when we're put into a limited idea of who we are through our ignorance, through the knowledge being kept from us, then we can only exist in a way that we are disconnected. And that disconnection makes us operate in a place of limitation. The limitation makes us operate in a place of limited awareness of how powerful and expansive we are, and then puts us into a place of fear. So instead of us saying, I don't have enough money to pay the rent, this caused me fear, hang on a minute, I'm going to choose love about this, and I'm going to manifest for myself the money that I need to pay the rent. Because if we knew that we had that power, if we were using the law of attraction, and that's just like one law of a, you know, that's like the most mainstream law out there right now. Once you harness that and know it, then where would your fear come from? You know, but it's not just like tangible fears, like physical, not being able to afford bill fears. We've got fears now about not being accepted by our family if we're gay, not being accepted by our friends.
And fear controls our life. Literally, it is the control and the limiting factor on our life. If we're afraid of it, we generally avoid it or don't do it. So we become more and more confined to something that feels safe, but in actual fact, there's no life at all. It's not experiencing anything new. It's staying safe and within, you know, the four walls of your own house and having no communication with anyone, because any kind of interaction will bring up fear. Any kind of anything, any life.
So it's really interesting because the simple way of looking at this within, like how it works mentally with your thoughts. Is that when you're in love, like when you're acting of a place of love, you're in your right side of your brain, you're acting intuitively, you know, like when you feel that inspiration, that moment of joy, that moment of like, great, I feel love right now, or great, I feel so happy, and you have that thought that tells you, I'm feeling love, well, you've just experienced something from the right side of your brain, where it was effortless, didn't require thinking about. It just was. It just happened. You were living. You're experiencing it, right?
Yeah. It's kind of like if you're really afraid. You know, you go to school, and you're afraid that you won't be able to get into university, and then you're afraid that you won't be able to get. Yeah, I know you hate school and university, but this is the ordinary paradigm that's set up.
Yeah.
You're afraid you won't get into the university. Then when you're at university, you're afraid you won't get the right marks to get a good job. You get good marks. You're afraid you won't get the right job. And when you're in the right job, you're afraid you won't be valued in your job. So it's really, it's setting up for yourself a struggle. And politically, politics is all based on the generation of fear to control people, because they take a step back and let other people take charge.
Well, yeah, I
think that's really important too as our political structure.
Yeah, politics comes from the whole agenda. So basically, when you're in fear, what's actually going on for you is you're putting you're giving your power over to the left side of your brain. So you're putting your ideas into your personality. Now, our entire personality is based around the belief, our wounds, basically, the belief structures we adopted and created when we were having our first experiences of pain and suffering and fear and anger and hurt and all those things that we experienced when we were children. That allowed us to create the personality that we identify as Kelly or Bonnie, and then most people spend most of their lives trying to work out their shit, trying to figure out why they act in certain ways.
And reliving the same shit. Like, you can get over your shit and let it go. It's much simpler than it seems. I mean, more stuff will come up, but you can get over that again. It's cyclical by nature.
Yeah,
you just have to keep reliving,
the same thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's education people. You just have to become more aware of how to go about understanding the thoughts in your mind, right? So I was going to say that when we put like an idea, so we have an idea of thought through our personality, it's like it operates. It goes from from an idea, from the ether, from this everything, this experience of everything.
Yeah.
And because we're idea machines, we're thinking machines. We have the power in us to take this everything, this infinite source, put it through an idea, and then manifest it into physical form. That's the true nature of the human factory. Human factory. That's a good way of putting it. So what happens when we have an idea and we put it through our personality, and not through our hearts? Yeah. What happens is that the bad politician in our head, which we all have one, we all have our own personal fucking Kevin Ryan.
And you attract the shit you don't want into your life because you're focusing on what you're afraid of, which then inevitably leads, to becoming evident in your experience.
Yeah.
And that's how disease is caused. That's how all of these problems are caused, because it's actually drawing in what you don't want. Because fear focuses on what you don't want.
And when you put it through, when you do focus on what you don't want, essentially all that really happens is that the left side of your brain just basically weighs up the pros and cons and weakens down the original idea to the point where you'd have to take no action, because taking action is what's uncomfortable, right? Yeah. And that means, that's where it comes that when Bonnie was saying fear is very limiting, it's because when you sift it through your personality, and that politician gives you the pros and cons, and to the point where you know how long you have to take any action, you talk yourself completely out of it, then you don't step into your greatness, you don't step into your heart, you don't expand, you don't become more of what you want, because you've suddenly been stopped by your belief structures and your paradigms. Hence you've created a fear barrier around taking action around it, and you don't take any action. So that's why fear is really limiting. And that's why they use fear. The agenda uses fear to control, because it prevents people from moving out of their limited idea of what exists and expanding their energy and their massive consciousness into all that they could be.
And importantly, it's delegating your power to someone else to take charge because you're afraid and you don't want to deal with it, which is really, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's destructive.
Yeah, excellent
That's
point.
giving away everything that you have, and all, that's denying the fact that you're God, that you can create your reality. It's giving it to someone else. It's giving it to external sources like religion does, like allowing anything to happen outside of you because you believe you're not in control of it.
Yeah, it's totally true. Like the whole infrastructure has been based around people being too scared to act into their own sovereignty, too scared to act in love and do what they love, and then it's being shut down and limited by fear, and then giving over their power to a governing body who can respond to their fear and create and generate the answers for them. And that's the mess that we've got ourselves into. We're going to keep talking about this in part 2.